So Avengers Age of Ultron for me is a good film, but is probably the weakest Avengers movie in the franchise, unfortunately. And it's either between the Avengers 1 or Avengers 2, because Avengers 3 and 4 hit the ball out the park so far that it can't even be seen by the naked eye. And I think it's just so true to the fact that the first two movies felt like they were living up to expectations, which were just way too high because people didn't know what to expect with an Avengers film. And so they thought it would all work together in the first two films like they are in the comics, where it just comes together and it's magical and it's great. But the first two movies didn't exactly do that. It weren't what we pictured and it weren't perfect. And the same can be said with the DC's Justice League as well, because they had the exact same expectations.
I'm putting together a team. People with special abilities.
However, even though I think this movie is a good film and a solid MCU film, I'm not saying it's terrible by any stretch of imagination. If so, I would have talked about it in the same vein as I do with Eternals, which is fucking terrible.
You are so pathetic!
But for me, I think this movie sequel gets a little bit undermined compared to maybe Avengers 1, 3 and 4. Simple reason being they don't get everything quite right. Because for me, Ultron seems very threatening at the start of the film when he is introduced. He seems like this AI robot which is about to take over the entire world. However, he doesn't seem that threatening later down the line in the film. They really don't present him as being that threatening. He really just uses Wanda and uses Pietro to do his dirty work. And to me, that doesn't really seem like a powerful supervillain if you're going to use your sidekicks to be able to do all the work for you. And it weren't to the point where they were sort of his lackey robots doing it neither. And so I think that he just felt like a walkover villain rather than being a Thanos. And to me, I think if you'd have put just Iron Man up against him or somebody like that, or Hulk even, I think, yeah, they could just rip him apart easily, because that's what the movie showed to me. It didn't show me anything where I was like, oh no, all the Avengers need to come together to defeat this villain. Another reason why this is deemed as probably the weakest Avengers movie, in my opinion, is killing off a debuting character that had potential to run and have a go in the MCU, at least for a few more films, in my opinion, with Aaron Taylor Johnson being bumped off as Quicksilver in this film, which made a little bit of no sense. Yeah, he helped save Hawkeye, turning from being a bad guy in like the last quarter of the film to being a good guy and jumping on the team of the Avengers. And it felt like everything was going in the right direction with Wanda and Pietro working together. And I felt that them two being added into the Avengers would have been a great jump. And maybe then kill him off in Endgame or in Infinity War, that would have made a little bit more sense in my opinion. And I think, yeah, the Wanda story, yeah, developed on the death of her brother. But I think we could have waited. That's all I'm saying on that. However, though, I thought Vision debuting weren't too bad. You know what I mean? I thought that his debut went smoothly, and so did Wanda's, I think. I think the story isn't too shabby neither, and I don't think that was the reason why the movie failed. As for me, I think it was cool seeing how Wanda tempered with Tony's mind into thinking that he now needs to come up with a new adventurous way of protecting the entire world, because he thinks that the Avengers won't be around forever and we need a suit of armor around the world to help protect from outside threats from space, because he obviously saw what went on in the first movie and has that sort of PTSD that we see in Iron Man 3 and the Avengers. And it's like this constant thing now that he's thinking about saving the planet and how he can protect the world, and comes up with this AI system used from the Scepter to help to battle against that. And him and Bruce Banner work together to come up with this idea, and then that idea becomes reality as Ultron is then born from out of nowhere and kills Jarvis. So Jarvis is now bumped off forever, which made a lot of sense because you're just about to bring Paul Bettany in as Vision, so you can't really have both of those characters being played by the same person. Yeah, it's a bit weird, but I think that was decent. And then seeing how then Tony Stark's mistake was about to take over the world, which was a good idea, but I don't think the execution of the story was quite right, as again, I think it all stems down to they focus more on trying to create a feud between the Avengers, which we saw in the last film of the Avengers, rather than the actual villain itself. Let's hype up the villain. That's why the third and fourth installments of the Avengers franchise worked better, because they felt like, oh, the villain is the main threat rather than us being the problem. The ending was just a superhero ending. The superheroes coming out on top and defeating Ultron whilst watching, obviously, Pietro being killed off, which we've already touched on. I think it was just a superhero ending, very predictable, very what you thought. But the best thing to talk about right now is obviously at the end credit scene with the gauntlet, and you're seeing the big hype reveal up for the next Avengers film, where Thanos is now going to be chasing round for all the Infinity Stones.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Before we jump back into this video, guys, please do us a massive favour and smash that subscribe button, because you do not want to miss a thing this week, next week, and the week after, because we've got tons and tons of content planned for you guys, and you can do us a massive favour by smashing that subscribe button, joining the community, getting updates to all the latest videos from the YouTube shorts to the actual videos. It is well worth it, completely free, and you will not regret it. So to summarise Age of Ultron, then for me, 6.7 out of 10, and then average film. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Good, bad, terrible, amazing. Let us know all that jazz down those comments down below. And if you haven't yet seen our Deadpool and Wolverine movie review, you need to go check that out right now.